YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to AJ's Garage. Thank you guys for tuning in. I just want to start off by saying thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys' interest in the channel. I also want to say thank you to Matt Strum, viewer who had reached out to me after the last video regarding the windshield washer reservoir. He actually has a 69 Camper Special, really beautiful truck, really nice patina, was really well taken care of. He wasn't going to be using it on his anymore, so he sent it my way. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. Today's video is going to be on the door switch, which activates the dome light, so like a courtesy light. Of course, with a lot of these old trucks and old cars, sometimes you find them in pretty decent shape, or you just find them really butchered, which I feel like that's what the case was with my truck. So mine were completely cut out for some reason, so we're going to work on replacing those and get that to work. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Alrighty guys, so like I had mentioned, we're going to be installing / replacing the courtesy lights, which go right here in the door. They allow the dome light to turn on when you open the door. If you guys remember, I got this put in not too long ago, but it's all wired up and wasn't really sure how to get it to work. I just assumed there was something wrong with my lights, but I ran into a guy that had a 68 or 69 pickup and just got to talking. Near the very end, he just let me know about these light switches, that they're on some sort of mechanism when they turn. Can't remember the name he gave it, but of course when you pull it once, it's just fog lights. Second is full lights, so headlights, everything on the interior turns on. But when you turn it, it'll adjust the brightness of your lights. But also when you turn it to the left all the way, it'll kind of bottom out, I guess. And then when you click that over, dome light turns on. So when I figured that out, I was pretty excited. Not all my lights were working at the time, but now we got all the gauge lights to light up. Interior lighting will come on. So to get this installed, first thing we have to do is remove the gauge cluster, which you also have to disconnect your speedometer cable because it's not very long, so it won't give you a lot of play to pull it out. So I already did that. Now let's get this pulled out. So here we got a view of behind the gauge cluster. Now it's quite dirty. Of course, the truck is almost 50 years old, was probably stored outside at one point, just kind of forgotten. But we're gonna try to get this cleaned up a little bit and locate the ends of the courtesy light switch. So far I've got both connection ends to the courtesy light switch out. The one on the left over there had a black and blue and 2 of these yellow and green wires, which kind of throws me off a little bit. So what I did the other day is took a trip to the junkyard and was originally just thinking of cutting off the ends like this and soldering them on to that one. But I was actually able to pull out a whole section of harness, which I'm thinking now this is just pre-70s, so anyone that has a 67, 68, 69, this would have worked just kind of like a plug and play, rerun the wires. But with mine being a 70, these wires are actually ran into, if I can get you guys a view there, into this main wrap of harness. I thought about pulling that apart, but that's just going to be too much, especially getting over to this side. And then what if we don't even have all the same connectors? There's some connectors on this side, which I'll show you right now, that are missing connections, but I'm not sure if it's the ones to this. So I might just have to do some splicing and cutting, which I didn't want to do. Of course, this being an original harness, I kind of just wanted to put it in, but let's see what I decide.
Real quick guys, I just want to show you this wiring diagram that I'm using. I know I mentioned this before on one of my gauge cluster videos, but I got this off of classiccarwiring.com. It is specific to 1970 F-Series trucks, but they also have a lot of different years, cars and trucks. This is coming really, really handy. Electrical work can definitely be a little intimidating. especially when you don't really have too much experience with it like myself, but this has made any electrical work a lot easier. It's very, very clear as far as labeling what it goes to. It also does have a key down here at the bottom, so you are able to reference specifically what colors they are. For example, the door switch there that we're working on looks like it's green and yellow and black and blue. So if we go back here to the key, green and yellow tracer there, and black with the blue down here. So great tool to have. I definitely recommend it if you guys are doing any electrical work, so go and check them out. Alrighty guys, so I got the ends spliced on. I just need to clean these up before I make the connections. I rewrapped the wire coming up from right about there at the dash all the way down. And then I also used some heat shrink at the points where I cut the electrical tape, that way it wouldn't just come apart. So this should be pretty solid. Now I just need to put it through the grommet in here and run it out to the door. But what I used to splice it are these little connectors that I found out about just by searching, I guess, how to do electrical work. Now with these you don't need solder. That little silver there in the middle is solder, so you just use the heat gun. You wrap the wires together, twist them up, slip that over, and then use the heat gun. And once that solder melts, it makes a pretty strong connection, and it's supposed to be waterproof. So I used 2 of those to connect these on. Let me just run this through and then we'll move on to the driver's side. Alrighty guys, so we moved everything inside. It was getting a little bit cold and dark, so now we're in the garage, of course, where we've got good lighting. So going over the switch here in the door, we wrapped it in electrical tape just like the other side, and also used some heat shrink on the ends, that way the tape wouldn't start coming undone as it normally does. These little door plates, I guess, that hold the switch. I was missing the passenger side one, but was able to locate one and get that put in. Picked up some stainless steel screws at the hardware store, so they should stay nice like that. And then just going over the end guys, these are just a stock replacement. I ordered these off of LMC along with the switch. The little connector ends, I spliced in from the junkyard harness. Unfortunately, it wasn't just a plug and play like I would have hoped, but the switch, of course, will work when the door is closed. Cuts off the connection. When you open the door, it pops out and allows a dome light to turn on as a courtesy light when it's dark out. So technically this should work as soon as I plug this in, just because of course it won't be in the closed position. So it's got 2 little connecting prongs there. So as we plug this in, there it is. And we got a courtesy light. Sorry, a little difficult to get this to clip in with one hand, but got it in. So If I can get you guys in the same frame here. Awesome. So one thing that was a little different, and I noticed, like I mentioned earlier in the video, with the classic car wiring diagram was, sorry, let me grab a light real quick. Is that little connector that's just empty. That seemed like it was part of the system, but looks like we're just gonna have to find a truck at the junkyard and see what connects to that. But as of now, it works without it, so we're just gonna leave it alone. Lastly, just putting the gauge cluster back in and wrap this one up. Gonna give you guys a quick view of the courtesy light in action. And if any of you guys are basketball fans, leave a comment down below, let me know who your team is. Dallas Mavericks having a really good year, on track to make the playoffs. So lights off. Courtesy light on. Make it a lot nicer getting into the truck at night.